So, I know I just did a review recently about the new Little Mermaid movie, but did you guys know that that wasn't the only Little Mermaid movie to come out recently? A film company known as the Asylum took it upon themselves to make their own rendition of the Little Mermaid, and if you've never heard of the Asylum, let me give you a few examples of the type of movies that they make. We got Sharknado, 1 through 4, 5 if you count 5 Harknado, The Adventures of Aladdin, Hornet, The Fast and the Fierce, Atlantic Rim, Alan Quartermain and the Temple of Skulls, and the list just goes on and on and on again. So these guys obviously know what they're doing in order to make a good movie. Well, this movie is not well made by any means. It's not even like fun bad like The Room, it's just straight up bad. And the only reason I found out about this movie, and probably the reason a lot of you guys know about this movie, is because of the now infamous movie poster that came out. I think like somebody tweeted it saying that it was like straight up better than the new live action Little Mermaid poster, and that tweet kind of went viral, but not for the reason you'd think. Upon closer inspection, a lot of people started picking up that this might be an AI generated image, and yeah, I can really see that. And where I think it's really more noticeable is in the hair. It starts looking almost like tentacles towards the bottom, and I think others have pointed out the eyes, like kind of like how the pupils are misshapen and look kind of runny. And that's kind of the look of an AI generated image. It looks seemingly good from far away, but the second you start kind of taking a little bit of a closer look, it begins to look a lot like shit. So I kept this movie like in the back of my mind. Then seemingly out of nowhere, a trailer dropped and oh my god, it looks horrible. The models look awful, the environments look lifeless, but the biggest thing about the trailer was the just terrible animation. And after watching that trailer, I just knew that I had to watch this movie. It did play in some theaters, and unfortunately none of them were showing in any theaters near me, so I had to really go out of my way and buy it on digital, which by the way was a pain in the fucking ass, because no matter how hard I looked, I could not for the life of me find out where this movie was being sold digitally. Maybe you guys might have had an easier time finding it, but you all have to remember, I'm stupid. Like, I mean, look at my Rise of the Beast review. But enough about lore dropping, let's talk about the actual movie. So this is kind of marketed as like a reimagining of the Little Mermaid, and that's kind of one way of putting it. And I've never read like the actual Little Mermaid book that all of these movies are like loosely based on, so I have like no proper way of actually knowing if Asylum's interpretation is a lot more lore accurate version of it, because I just don't fucking care enough to look it up. So I'm just gonna assume that it's not, and I'm not gonna lie, most of this video is gonna be just like a lot more of me just shit talking this movie, and that's not really fair. So before I start doing that, I do want to mention like a few things that even make this movie like remotely watchable. So I think that the lead voice actress, who voices like our main character Sierra in place of like Ariel, has a lot of potential. She's like the best voice actress in this movie, like by far. Like, it's not even a contest. And that's both like a positive and a negative, because if you know anything about the story of the Little Mermaid, she loses her voice in order to get legs, so this movie kind of loses its own legs by making its best voice actress not speak for most of the movie. And the other thing that I liked about this movie is that it is not a long movie. It's like 90 minutes. And like that's about it. Alright, well, with all of those nice things out of the way, let's kind of get on to the shit talking about this movie. Let's start with the plot. So it kind of changes things up from like the Disney Little Mermaid storyline, but it does remain mostly the same in regards to like the big plot points. Sierra wants to go to the surface. She rescues a prince from drowning. He falls in love with his rescuer despite not knowing who she is or what she looks like, and Sierra trades her voice to get legs in order to go up to the surface and like get the prince to like fucking fall in love with her. Where it differs is in the kind of the character motivations. See, in both the live action and animated Little Mermaid, not this one, we get to see Ariel explore human-made things, and we get to see her curiosity with the surface world and the lives of the humans, but we don't get that here. This movie just fucking starts with the prince like boat scene, and we are immediately thrust into the plot of Sierra wanting wanting to get her legs to go to the surface. And listen, I don't want to come across as like an asshole here, but I'm gonna need a little bit of more context as to why she wants to go to the surface and marry this prince besides wanting to test drive her new pussy. And without those types of context, Sierra just seems like she just wants to leave for like no reason whatsoever. We see her swim around asking people if there's a way for a mermaid to get human legs, and not once do we get any sort of reason and to why she wants to pack up and leave the ocean besides falling in love. And I don't get me wrong, the original kind of sped run that shit too, but we at least get a little bit more context to go along with it. And it wasn't because about Ariel wanting to get fingered, it was more about her curiosity and love for the surface world. This movie's version of Ursula, whose like name I can't remember, so I'm just gonna call her Great Value Ursula, she doesn't really have any motivation at all either. She takes like Sierra's voice, gives her legs, and then she just kind of fucks off for a lot of the movie. She really doesn't try to do anything to stop Sierra from charming the prince, and she just kind of lets her do her own thing. Like, I think the plan was to like try and have Sierra fail so she can get cast like the deepest parts of the ocean, but she doesn't even like have a reason to do that either. She doesn't seem to want to try and harm like the Great Value version of King Triton in this movie, who by the way looks like a fucking Disney Infinity figure, so I don't understand what she's trying to accomplish in this movie besides being like a total bitch. And that's kind of how a lot of the plot goes in this movie. Obstacles are just kind of thrown at characters that don't make any sense whatsoever. Why does Great Value Ursula want more voices? Don't know. Why does the prince getting married automatically make Sierra fail her quest, even though she has a whole year to do it? Don't know. And these are the type of questions that continue the longer this movie goes on. But let's forget about the plot. It's terrible, and I think you all get the general gist of it. Let's talk about the animation. This might be the worst animated movie since Food Fight, and I don't want to be too mean because only one guy did the animation, which by the way is fucking insane. And I'm convinced that the one guy who did the animation has never seen a fucking human move before, because the movements of the characters, especially the head movements, are so unnatural that it's kind of hilarious to see characters move and talk to each other. Sometimes the characters aren't connecting with the environment, and sometimes there's too much animation, like whenever the turtle just kind of goes apeshit and his fins spin like helicopter blades. It's just crazy how bad the animation is. And it's not just the animation that's bad, but the entire art of this movie, if you would even call it that. Anytime they're in the ocean, it doesn't feel like they're in the ocean. It feels like they're like on a set with a fucking blue screen behind them. Some scenes have this like weird non-moving texture that is like really distracting. Oh, and there's these constant like little glitches that happen throughout the whole movie. This movie honestly feels like it's being held together by duct tape. It looks that rough. Oh, and don't even get me started on the models. They're extremely lifeless, and paired with their overly animated movements make me feel like kind of uncomfortable to look at. And one of the reasons it makes me feel a little uncomfortable, and this might kind of be like a little bit of a reach, but like just stay with me here. I promise it'll go somewhere. It's because I've seen like these character models and faces and like look before. And the place that I've seen them before, well, let's just call it a place for grown-ups. A corn palace, as some would say. And in that palace, as I'm kind of wandering about, I have stumbled upon certain videos where a certain creator uses a sort of filter that kind of Disney-fies her whole head and makes her look like a Disney cartoon. And then that's kind of when it hit me. And I'm pretty sure it hit everyone else who knew about this movie too, like not for that specific reason, but for other reasons. But this whole movie might be made using AI. Not just the poster. The script in this movie is awful, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just straight up asked ChatGPT to write them a script for The Little Mermaid or something. There's new software using Unreal. I think that you can create like animation, like movement, mocap like stuff using only your cell phone, so I wouldn't be surprised if like the one fucking guy who animated this movie just recorded himself like on a tripod, doing the movements and just uploaded that information to like a program like that and just pasted like the models on it that are probably probably also AI generated, and it would make sense for them to use AI like that. If you don't care about making quality content, kind of like Asylum doesn't care, then AI honestly might be the best way to save so much money making a movie. And if all of this AI use is true, which I have no actual way of knowing that it's true or not, then AI is actually coming a long way. And if you don't believe me, then you'd be extremely surprised to hear that this entire script that I've been reading so far wasn't written by me. It was actually written using AI to I'm just fucking with you. I wrote the entire script. AI is nowhere near close to making anything even close to good. I don't know what the fuck Shane Dawson is so afraid of.
Stop! Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
If this is the type of thing that we get from just relying on AI to do all the work for us, then I think we're safe from AI taking our jobs for a very long time. Hey everyone, if you've liked this video, I'd appreciate it if you would give me a like and maybe subscribe to my channel. This is kind of a different video that I'm used to making. Normally I just do reviews for movies and TV shows, and this is kind of more of a rant type of video than a review, but it was really fun to make, and I'd like to make more of these rant type of videos. If there's a movie or TV show that you'd love to hear me just talk shit about, let me know down in the comments below. I love watching bad movies and bad shows. And while you're here, why not just check out some of my other videos as well. Anyways, thank you all for taking the time and watching this video. It means a lot, so thank you all, and I'll see you next time.